welcome in halfway straight from street walking mailbox sports postman 1914 here with you today to talk about something outside of our normal sports realm. We got a little junk mail, as we might call it over here, and since it is Pittsburgh Steelers related, whom better to have alongside me to break down, analyze, and give you a Jurassic reaction of sorts, if you will. Other than the one and only Jihan to welcome in. How you doing today, brother? Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays, man. How you doing today?
Uh G, in a lot of ways, I won't tell you well. We talk about stepfathers a lot in discussions that we have on other pods today. Unlike many of those discussions, I got positive memories, and the day after Christmas, my stepfather passed, so the family gets to move through a couple things. Death and dying is something you really get to understand and process, and I think it correlates in terms of a sports analogy, and I give it to people in this way. Sometimes our team has what we call championship runs. Sometimes we're known for being Blitzburg. Sometimes we're known for being the Kansas City dynasties and so on and so forth. And then oftentimes, as great as those adrenaline rushes and those memories that we get from those fandoms, at times those things come to an end. And in all capacities, you still get to hold on to the memories that those teams provided for you. You get to hold on to the experiences or the lessons that may have been taught indirectly or directly. And I think in a lot of ways that corresponds and correlates to my stepfather and the fact that, one, our bond was sport. It was his most articulate of times. Not a man of many words, but he can regale you with tales of his minor league baseball experiences playing for the White Sox, as well as breaking down things about the '85 Bears that I didn't get to experience from the lens of an adult, but more so from a 5-year-old. So, R.I.P. We will ironically get back into a discussion about stepfathers later on, maybe not so candidly. But to get back to what we want to talk about specifically and up to date here, we have a clip of an incident that transpired over the weekend. I'm correct? Am I correct in assuming that one there?
Yeah, this past week, Steelers versus the Lions in Detroit.
Oh, so that was in Detroit. Okay, so that explains that explains the first part to me.
Yes, sir. That was in Detroit, and that was between the Detroit fan and DK Metcalf, the wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And looks like there was a prior situation with that very same fan with another team when DK was indeed in Seattle. Oh. And at that time, allegedly, the fan was banned for badgering. I believe. Okay, so yeah. So when DK Metcalf was in Seattle, and he allegedly had another incident with that very same fan, saying that fan was projecting and throwing racial slurs at him, and this appears to be the same case where DK says that accuses the fan of throwing racial slurs at him once again. So okay. So visually from the video, DK Metcalf walks up to him, grabs him, and says some words. Now, mailbox,
and we got some visual aids to go along with it. I just know I know you had a more of, like I said, in-depth experience to talk about it, in the sense that you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. DK does play for the Pittsburgh Steelers as we speak, and so I know that, one, it affects your team and you as a fan in a multitude of ways in which I won't be able to understand. So it's great to have perspective about it, and that insight can possibly paint a picture or not have us paint a picture when we go ahead and watch this last little clip here, just to get an understanding of what exactly happened.
our cameras happened to catch it. DK Metcalf had mixing it up with someone in the stands. Oh, my gosh.
Well, absolutely.
Oh, not going to have great
So,
consequences for the Steelers. And
grab
Metcalf.
somebody. Let's one more time.
Not condoning, putting your hands on the fan or punching the fan, but he.
One more time about that. You see it one more time.
And our cameras happened to catch it.
Let's pause right here. I don't know exactly what happened beforehand. You were already playing you were watching the game. So this is in the second quarter. And so obviously the defense would have been on the field. Offense. Does he walk away from his post, or is he standing close to the sideline when said fan is heckling or he gets into an altercation?
Now, in my honest opinion, I think this falls on the shoulders of, well, one, DK, and secondly, of the NFL, because the players and the fans should be protected at all times, and they should have actual security. Now, if you look at some of those security guys, they're small and frail. They need to have actual security protecting the fans and the players. So, because of course, any of those games, you got those people and I have no doubt a lot of those fans be hollering all kind of crazy crap at those guys. I mean, because I would imagine this is not a first incident from any type of player. I mean, if we go back a couple of years, mailbox, and we remember, as we recall, that incident between Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph, where Myles Garrett had sacked Mason Rudolph. He had tackled Mason Rudolph, and he claimed that Mason Rudolph hurled some racial slurs at him. Now, we don't know that definitively. However, we saw what happened. Now, he pulled off Mason Rudolph's helmet, and Mason Rudolph had the help of his lineman holding Myles Garrett back. Myles Garrett pulls off Mason Rudolph's helmet, and with Mason's teammate holding him back, hits him over the head with his own helmet.
Yeah.
Now, just imagine if Mason did not have his teammate there, he probably would have perished on national TV. And the relation I'm drawing to this situation, protection for both the fans and the players. I mean, that shouldn't have happened, but had the NFL supply adequate security for the game and for every arena, that wouldn't have happened.
Now, even when we speak about the Mason Rudolph incident and we equate to the fan, is there a strong belief that, from your perspective, that this fan indeed utilized racial slurs? And I only ask you that because I want to know, in the same vein, do we believe that Mason Rudolph hurled racial slurs at Myles Garrett, or did something else, in your opinion, provoke him to be so enraged?
It could have been something parallel derogatory, for something of that level to ensue. I mean, it would have been something personal bullying or something equal derogatory. We can't say for sure because, of course, we were not there.
Okay.
But for individuals that are not consistently in trouble or have past record of outbursts or drama, we can't sit up here and say, oh, this person's troublesome, this person's problem field. No, we can't say that about DK or Myles Garrett. So for that matter, we would have to only imagine that something very derogatory was said.
Okay. And I say that because, and we will have a video that has some reaction on both sides, I believe, or maybe on one side. I've not went into detail in watching these videos so that I can have an authentic reaction. However, There is an alleged assertion that the fan only utilized DK's government name to incite. My other question would be, do I believe that? Quite possibly, and I say that for this reason only. All of my adult life and in my child life, I have asserted, and I will continue to assert, that I have a feminine name in terms of my government title. I have at times when I was much younger, and I mean elementary school young, so I don't condone your juvenile behavior, but it has provoked me to lash out in a way that escalated into fights because of said name. However, I did give you the caveat that I was a mere tyke, as they would call you. So, my question about a racial taunt or anything derogatory. We spoke about DK having an alleged history with said fan. If you had a history with a fan and said fan was banned from one stadium, would it not be easy to point out to some security, because I know it existed somewhere, that this fan indeed has tape on him, and it may not be here, but it's elsewhere, so that I can have the mere Grinch-like smile on my face when you are escorted away from this stadium, your home stadium, just like you've, if the rumors are true, followed me even back then to Seattle, and I have reason to believe that this is a prior relationship, no matter what was said, because you are in fact a Detroit Lion fan with the DK Metcalf jersey. And so I know people do things to be antagonistic. I don't know that it was your first time when I think you go to that level, because let's just be frank, jerseys are not an inexpensive thing to have just as a trinket, just to antagonize somebody. So it speaks to the level of cash that you might have that's disposable. And one would believe, if you have certain things to be able to do that a quick flight from another city, maybe a Detroit transplant. As we know, I'm a Bears fan, but I don't live at home. And so I do have the pleasure at times to go home to experience a game. Maybe you are one of those types of persons. And so it leads down the path of home, where the blame ultimately lies. And I say it lies with Mr. Metcalf because of this and this reason only. This fan may be banned. This fan may be humiliated, publicly shamed, whatever the case may be. If in fact you are guilty or otherwise. We know public opinion holds no facts to its emotion, and they give you what they want you to have, so to speak, in terms of a verdict. Nonetheless, the actual verdict for one DK Metcalf is a forfeiture of, I believe, $45 million next year. And correct me if I'm wrong, 450 left in his game checks this year. Is that too much for his last two games?
I think that's I believe that's accurate. 45 million for I believe over the next two.
Back in of this year and leading into next year, in terms of how his escalators are set up for workouts, appearances, and so on and so forth.
Yes, that is accurate. 45 million he forfeits, of which I believe, somewhat they're going to,
the union will get some back.
Him being a main contributor, I think they're going to amend that a little bit. I don't think he's going to lose the complete 45, but most likely yes. But being that he's a primary contributor, they might amend that a bit.
Slightly, and this is where I believe your earlier speak of a bank of goodwill or a lack of pattern in negative behavior bodes well for you being able to have the league union make a the union, not the league's union. They don't have one. But the union make a sound argument to recoup some of his monies. Now, what portions is yet to be determined, because it has been determined that he will miss those 2 games, according to the person assigned to him by Roger Goodell. So that will, in some ways, affect the Pittsburgh Steelers and Steeler Nation. My question for you in this instance, G Honda, how do you think it affects the Pittsburgh Steelers? I.e., you got 2 games left. I know you are in control of the division. So how do we think it may affect the team moving forward, which in the last 2 matchups? I don't have those on hand. I know exactly whom you play, but I know this time you are playing against those lovely Cleveland Browns. And I don't know week 18. But how does it affect the team moving forward in these next 2 games? And from a fan's perspective, we talked about loss and things of dejection or hurt. How does it affect the psyche of a fan? Tell me what your emotion is, whether you believe he's justified or not. When you lose a player of his magnitude, how do you feel about things moving forward when your team is in prime position to put themselves in this illustrious dance that says, I get a chance for a championship?
Well, we got these next 2 games on the road next Sunday versus the Browns, and then on the road again versus the Baltimore Ravens. But 2 games of home is going to be pretty difficult, not to make matters worse, being that DK is going to be suspended for these next 2. But definitely complicates things on the passing realm in terms of, Aaron Rodgers having that particular target and DK, what he brings to the table. That definitely will be missed over the next 2 games. However, we look forward to having him in the postseason. But going
missing
into
Calvin Austin as well.
Yeah. And but of course, I think to help alleviate that a little bit, MBS, Marcus Valdez, Scanlon is going to help out a bit. Adam Thielen, he's going to contribute a bit.
Yeah.
And of course,
you got some veteran replacements. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of helps out a bit in the passing, a bit. Nothing spectacular, but do just enough to, help move those chains. And of course, Frymouth and Darnell Washington and Jonnu Smith, that's definitely going to be helpful. But of course, anytime you got DK out and you missing DK, a splash player of his magnitude, that's irreplaceable, So, but, going into Cleveland, that's always a daunting task for us, always have been, even when it was thought to see that, we should blow Cleveland out the water. That's never the case. It always has been a tall task for us. They always play us the hardest. They're always, at times, one of the most difficult games on the schedule for us, and that we can have one of the better teams on our schedule on paper, but Cleveland Browns give us the hardest challenge. That's just what it's always been the rule of thumb. But DK's very much, his presence definitely going to be missed over these next 2 weeks. That's definitely going to be felt. I think that's definitely going to show in these next 2 games. However, being that how this process plays out, I hope he comes back, fully refreshed.
Now, when we talk about it that way, we do talk about reinforcements of sort and everything else like that to be able to stem the tide. From what the standings tell me, there is still an opportunity for the Ravens to indeed win the division. With that being said, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you could try to quantify to be a bug or a fly on the wall, what amount of what's the word I'm looking for? I'm trying to think. I don't want to use the word of apology, but if we're gonna go down the lane of it, what type of responsibility level in terms of how he is let the team down, because it did indeed let the team down in a critical spot. What's the level of sorrow or devastation that his loss could lead to, so that he can understand the impact of his loss? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you quantify said loss?
On a scale of 1 to 10, and I'm assuming, I hate to assume 10 being the worst,
It is.
I would put it right smack dab at a dead 8, because being that we're playing the Browns and the Ravens, 2 critical games.
In the
This is a
division.
significant blow for
Yeah.
him being out. This is a significant blow. And being that, like I stated previously, Browns is one of our toughest games. I mean, regardless of who they have at QB, regardless of, because you got that monster
You got
Miles Garrett
Miles.
that
Yep.
complicates everything for everybody. And, also their defense ain't nothing to sneeze at to an entirety anyway.
Exactly.
But, anytime you have the Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers, it's always a tough task. And also, like you stated, having Baltimore the same week, and them still being able to clinch the division. But yes, this is a significant loss, DK, for these next 2 weeks. But I believe that with all things considered, we could still get it done with the run. With Warren and Gainwell being exceptionally well, with our defense playing great football right now with that front seven, and minus with TJ Watt, but of course having Alex Highsmith back, and that front seven doing their thing the past couple of weeks, and I think we have enough to get the job done.
And it's going to be interesting to see if, in fact, that bears out to be true, because and this is an instance where I'm being totally genuine when I say it. I don't care who makes the playoffs from the AFC. If you are so destined to see my team on the other side, I can only control what we can control, and that's the NFC. How it would go over with the locker room if, in fact, the passing game struggled, and as a result, the the running game did the exact same thing, and it cost us critical games. How does it go over in the locker room when, in some ways, you were shipped away from Seattle for being somewhat of a malcontent? How do we think that goes over? Is this his first year in Pittsburgh, correct?
Correct. This is first year in Pittsburgh. But you got to remember, Seattle, of course, he was having, allegedly having some problems in Seattle. But, of course, when you're, quote unquote, a one-trick pony to where you were the only option, I mean, you kind of felt, Mailbox, to be honest, it was borderline a situation what Calvin Johnson had back in the day with Detroit. I mean, if you ask me. That's just if you ask me. But not comparing DK to Calvin Johnson in any way. That's not what I'm doing. But I'm just comparing the solo acts.
Oh yeah, I was only thinking about, I wasn't thinking about the actual comparison. I was thinking about JSN, but carry on.
Okay. And well, so DK, he has always been solid his whole career.
Yeah.
He's always one that you had to game plan for. Down whatever situation he had in Seattle, that was Seattle. But of course, this is his first year in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And he's panned out great for us. Played every game, and he's did his thing every game.
So it goes over well with the locker room.
Now, as far as the locker room, I think it's something to where, this particular situation, I think others may have their opinions on the matter, but I still think to an entirety, the objective of making the postseason is by and large overshadows this, because, if you look at the numbers,
I'm only speaking of it.
We haven't won a playoff game since 2016. So that means something, and all the work we've done, all the work that the GM Omar Khan and Rooney has done to assemble this staff, to assemble this team. this has been some of the greatest work we've done in quite a while, on both sides of the ball. So, but I think the situation is not going away. But I think the postseason, overshadows this. I don't think this is gonna take air out the health of the locker room. I think it's still, if anything, this is going to, bring them closer together. I don't think this situation, dwindles take any air out the sails of the locker room. So.
And I can get it in that way. I was only speaking about it in a doomsday scenario where we don't make the playoffs. Do we all collectively blame you, Mr. Metcalf? And while you may not ever be the sole reason in a team sport, which is why I hate QB records,
if he wasn't productive, if he wasn't as productive as he was, but I mean, he's the most productive receiver.
But that is my point exactly. You are the most productive receiver. If we don't make the playoffs and our passing production goes down because our most productive receiver is not there because he wanted to take it upon himself to not point out somebody's security, but to go grab him and punch him, my man, I'm going to tell you, this is what we call self-governing. Yes. All 52 of us got heat for you. I may still love you. I may still respect you, whatever the teammate dynamic is. But this season, you played us for you. Not only did you cost you a bag, but you cost us playoff checks, potentially. You cost us more exposure on tape for people who might not be around next year. And we might have had the formula going forward at the right time to get what we had all the way to San Francisco, and instead you coming back 2 games later got to work off rust and potentially have a step missed that you could already be primed up and geared ready for the playoffs. So I only speak about it in that way because I've seen petulant types of wide receivers like Brandon Marshall never see their playoff dreams realized because of some of the errors of their ways. And no matter how immense the talent was, at times, you have been your own pariah. And it's ironic that they both played in Seattle at a time, so it may be something in the coffee out there. Who knows? But I'm being funny when I say it. We will have the opportunity in this last little snippet here to watch a video that gives other reaction to the situation. We can see, one, if we have any other information that we can gain from it. 2, we can just see if they have any other types of opinions that we may not have brought to the table or thought about when it comes about. So we'll go ahead and play this one to see exactly what they say. The Officer Tatum, excuse me, everybody, Cash, quiet, you don't need to be in this. Officer Tatum is the streamer that has put together this video for fair use, just so you know. If you want to go over and subscribe, go right ahead. DK Metcalf, exposed lying about racist slur is the title of this. So let's go ahead and dig into it and see exactly what it says.
Fan or punching the fan, but he did call him a racial slur. He called him the N-word.
Hey, DK! Like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications anytime I go live or make a video. Make sure you still subscribe to this channel. Like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Let's get into this. We got DJ Metcalf. I want to start with him. I don't know if y'all saw that game the other night.
You say DJ?
Where they probably getting their socks whooped off. I don't watch football anymore. And not because any other reasons. It's just I don't have time to be watching other men play football. I'd rather be with my family and making money somewhere. I will watch it, but I'm not going to make it a thing, right? My daddy want to go watch the Cowboys. We watching the Cowboys, baby. But anything outside of that, I don't really watch it. But
I'm gonna get paid
I don't know if DJ Metcalf then won or not. I don't know. But let's talk about this situation where he grabbed a guy and punched him and all that. And DJ initially mentioned and said, I think either he said or people had rumored that the Spectator called him a racial slur. That's what he said. And this whole thing was allegedly justified because he had been called a racial slur. Here is evidence to the contrary. Roll the clip.
Hey, DK, don't sign him. DK, don't sign him. He dead, boy. He about to throw that motherfucker. Hey, DK! Yup! Hey! Yup!
This commercial break is brought to you by Canva.
So you heard a little bit about what they were saying before DK came over there and grabbed his hair and punched him in the face. Here's some other views of what happened. Roll the clip.
DK Metcalf had mixing up with someone in the stands.
Oh my gosh.
And that not going to have great consequences for the Steelers and Metcalf. He just.
Let's go with another angle. Now here's the still image of DK Metcalf. When he can't say he didn't punch the guy. That's the pulling of the hair and a closed fist going straight up at his face. Freedom has never been free, and the cost is rising. That's why Patriot Mobile exists. For over 12 years, they've defended faith, family, and freedom. PatriotMobile.com/Tatum or call 972-PATRIOT for a free month.
And
right, let's listen to the next clip, which
real quick, what we got right now.
So now at that particular point, now that's where NFL could have had actual security. Now, why they don't have nightclub like bouncer security, I don't know. But let's just say if he would have pulled this dude down and this dude would have fell off that rail, broke his back, kneecaps, ankles, and legs.
Lawsuit.
That would have been a massive lawsuit against DK as well as the NFL. They would have forked out hundreds of millions. It's like you're not protecting. Like, where's the safety?
And when you speak of that right there, if we notice the grab down, that quick jerk of that wig, I don't know, or you can't tell if he hit his face. So if the man wanted to, which I don't believe, based on any visuals that I've seen, he's had any facial injury, but that could have been another open-ended way to sue the league due to a player, in addition to the player. But in this instance, right now, we're going to continue to listen to see if we can hear any other exposures. I've not heard words between either of the two just yet, but let's just keep watching.
I think it's the ESPN tweeting about Metcalf's suspension. Now, this guy lost a ton of money. He's getting paid like $500,000 a game or something crazy.
Incorrect.
So he's going to lose that per suspension. And then allegedly he had like this multi-million-dollar guarantee that he had in his contract that he's no longer going to get.
Okay. So while I thought I would be able to, what's the word? Have no bias in listening to a particular piece, and still shout out to the Office of Tatum for covering the piece, I don't know, or I'm not getting a very educated tone about the actual situation or the actual sport per se. And while I know newscasters and others don't follow sport to cover sport, I don't believe that he's doing due diligence in the piece here, as opposed to like the title clearly says exposed lying about racist slur. I would have hoped to see more auditory evidence of what transpired. Maybe you had closer access to the boom mic or anything to that degree. That was a very short clip. While I don't know if anything was said ahead of time, maybe other fans in the stands may verify, only because I did hear fans at an away game say, DK, don't sign that. Now, if fans at a game before you walked over said or indicated to you that you should not sign this particular jersey. In my estimation, and tell me if you disagree, G Honda, do you think something negative had to be said about the player, or do you believe that the fans were totally being fans and saying that, hey, you're a Lions fan, you shouldn't get your jersey signed by DK Metcalf? Which of the two you think is more plausible? A, you said something and the fans heard, which was their reason to urge you not to sign, or fanatics just being fanatics?
Of course, it could have been a bit of both, and you have to wager both of them equally the same in this scenario because of course, everybody's at the game, they're having a good time, and you also got to factor in that a lot of people are intoxicated, which could have been the case. But it could have been more so, they probably heard, and hopefully if they did hear, him say something derogatory or make a racial slur, that they would be indeed forthcoming in the situation and speak on it. Because, if anything, this may lessen the blow, so to speak, if any. But for the fact that they said that you heard in the audio that the individuals were saying, don't sign that DK. If they indeed heard something derogatory, or if that individual did make a racial slur towards DK, those individuals should be forthcoming, I believe.
I can dig that. And those are the things that I think matter. And it obviously gets testy when you try to rely on character witness when I know not the character of the persons around, but it does draw context clue to at least give credence to, like you said, something disparaging being said. And while I won't even give evidence to it being said this time, I will say that because of the non-verbal indication, or at least the indication that I got that a lot of things are non-verbal there, I didn't hear any slur of any sort in that instance. I can only believe that said fan is a transplant fan, and this is the fan that you had an incident with before. So your previous history or enragement of him being allowed in this stadium, thus circumventing the rule that prevented him from being around you. Maybe the former situation route, curdled your blood or something to that degree, and you responded, because I saw nothing in that particular video that would rise to the level of grabbing your hair and punching you, especially when I heard no words from you or the fan. But that could have give more evidence to what G Honda alluded to earlier, which was the previous incident possibly being the catalyst for time, space, and opportunity, as I like to call it. And the time was in Detroit. The space was provided, as you said, security was very weakened, and the opportunity for you to try to exact it, I guess, in my head, under some sort of cloak of anonymity, because I can't believe that you really thought that through and thought the cameras were watching you when you did that. So maybe you thought everybody was tuned into the game because it looked like it doing game action. So maybe you thought all the cameras were somewhere away from you, but we obviously know that wasn't the case. We will have an opportunity to continue to find out more about the incident. Like I said, the suspension was upheld. So right or wrong in terms of the situation outside, they do have articles or broadcasts of the fan making statements about the incident himself. So that's in defense with his legal attorneys. We would both already assume that there are legal ramifications of some sort to be handled between the two in the near future. And what I would say that it says ultimately is, oftentimes in a lot of streams that we cross paths on, G Honda, we speak of emotional regulation and being able to center yourself and be stoic in terms of being a man. It behooves all athletes, gentlemen, scholars, and others to comport yourself in a way that allows a person to clearly indicate who's the fool in a given situation. Obviously, I give no free pass to the fan. However, we spoke about the potential losses that Mr. Metcalf could suffer. Tell me whose family, not to mention any legal precedent that is set after this, whose family stands to lose the most amount of money, reputation, and credibility when it comes to being a hothead and so on and so forth moving forward, as we know can very easily happen with a physically hulking specimen, not to mention when he shares our color and reflection. And when those types of situations happen, right, wrong, or indifferent, it continues to paint a picture that many would say is not true. But I contend that you can't oftentimes paint a picture out of your head. You have to see it somewhere in order to capture a particular moment. With that being said, drop your comments later on, guys, about what it is, or first, who's right or wrong, DK or the fan. Share your comments and thoughts about that. What things could we do as individuals to protect ourselves and to protect our peace in a way that is beneficial to all parties amongst us? And as fans, what is deemed crossing the line? I won't get into my own individual personal preferences about those things, but I do believe there is a line that should not be crossed. And while that line is not clearly defined, we would be very hopeful that in the future that line is able to be as clear as what a catch is in the NFL. With that being said, we do have one more topic to move on to before we wrap up, and that happens to be in the boxing world, and it is dealing with another topic that we often talk about, which is the lovable stepdaddy. Some very many monikers can be attached to the stepfather, and I think oftentimes what we lose context in, and I do know that it is made mention of, we are speaking of the modern day step-parent situation, and how, what's the word? The expectation and the level of respect may not be suitable or equal to what it used to be. So we want to take a look at this situation and see if it's worth it and what we have thoughts on about it, G Honda. This is by Jada Black. You're Not My Real Dad is the title. So let's go ahead and check this out.
To everybody that's tuning in, I want to react to this video clip of Deontay Wilder, boxer Deontay Wilder. He was doing an interview and he spoke about his ex and the fact that he embraced.
Give me a moment. Don't know exactly what just happened right there.
And the fact that he embraced her son as his. They were together, I believe almost 10 years. They were engaged. The relationship fell apart right around the Tyson Fury fights. And she claimed that he was abusive to her. She filed an order of protection. That's when they broke up, right? Didn't really haven't heard anything much in regards to those two since then. Well, he's doing this interview and he talks about how he put her son in his will while they were together. And the son then tells him that Deontay's not his father. Even though Deontay had basically been a father to him for years because his other father wasn't there, he removed the son from the will. Now, mind you, Deontay Wilder has other children, but this is why I can't accept being a stepfather in 2025, because not only are the women ungrateful, but ungrateful as well, because what happens is the wild will pit them. I believe that Zelly wanted out of the relationship. You know why I say that? is after claims that he was so
Hold on. So, G, you sent me this earlier, and you said this is some wild-ish. And I looked over it lightly. His face didn't resonate to me at first until I clicked the link. This dude was messing with her or married to her, if I'm not mistaken. And around the Tyson Fury fights, y'all got divorced. And like months later, she is with an NFL player. Tell me that wasn't her exit plan already.
Well, okay. Well, first and foremost, I want to give Deontay Wilder his flowers as a boxer. I mean, because I wanted to do that first and foremost. Shout out to him because aside from Ali, I'm not sure if the city of Louisville did it for Ali, but the city of Alabama, of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where Deontay Wilder is from, they gave him a statue next to Bear Bryant and Nick Saban. So shout out to them for that, because I believe black fighters are not celebrated. Black champions, black boxing champions are not celebrated. They should. And when he was the heavyweight champion, I don't think America got behind him like they should have, like they were supposed to. But we see other champions being back, like Canelo Alvarez and Manny Pacquiao from their respective countries of sort. So I want to give Deontay Wilder his flowers for what he did at the time, what he accomplished at the time. And, because that was deep for them to give him a statue, that was special. I felt that, and of course, them all of a sudden now they want to celebrate Ali and with his murals and all his artifacts and such. Now that the man has perished and go on, I mean, I just believe it's just very disrespectful that you want to celebrate him now versus, crucifying him when he didn't want to go off and fight in the Vietnam or Korean War, which one that was. But that's that. Okay. Now on to this situation. Yeah, Mailbox, this is a very wild situation, man. I mean, Telly Swift, I believe, yeah, so they were together 10 years, as stated. And and they've had they had a rocky road. Now, Mailbox, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the show WAGs, Wives and Girlfriends of Sports Stars.
My God, I cannot stand the term, but yes, I've never heard of her. But when you say WAGs, right now, and we won't get sidetracked, but the Chicago Bears have, with success comes exposure to people who don't deserve it. And right now, social media is taken aback by the WAGs of the Bears. I hate it now. I hate it here. And to the Chicago Bears who have these WAGs, look at this right here. She was a part of a show.
Well, Mailbox, I was referring to the show and Deontay Wilder and Telly Swift being on the show. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so they were actually on the show, and you got a more in depth look at how tumultuous their relationship was, and being that she had already had a child, and how adamant she was on pressuring him to marry her. This is a woman that was already a baby mom, and she was crying at him, and pressuring him to no avail to marry her.
Well, she knew her personnel though, because that pressure wouldn't work on some people that make diamonds. Instead, it burst pipes on the other side over there. So
Very true.
I applaud, and this is where once again where we get to kind of dig into the psyche of the athlete, only because. And welcome in T Pro. How you feeling, man? This is one of those situations where we get to understand totally how his athletic prowess and psyche is far greater and stronger than his real life and interactive psyche is in terms of the opposite sex. Because, and I preface this always by saying, I've been a stepfather for over 16 years now. While I don't know what particular generation that falls into, whether or not we quantify it as modern or otherwise, what I will say is this situation here, and we're going to get back into the video, is one of the penultimate reasons why it is frowned upon or very cautionable for us to know that I have in my life, especially a man in a position of power, because of a situation such as this, and how a harlot can go ahead and actually manipulate her way into your pocketbook, your mental psyche, and into your long-term future. And those types of things right there are like Pandora's box to your peace. And I don't know what allows a person that is so disciplined, regimented, and headstrong in a given field, yet be so tempted or less resistant, just to be nice, when it comes to the opposite sex. And they talk about a lot of athletes in that way, that are game goofy, always impregnating the same woman or the same type of woman over and over again. So it's like, when we talk about women in the instance of, that he has children by multiple women, why engage? You, athlete, have seen her in many a limousine, sprinter vans, and after parties, and yet this is the one that I want to indulge in that way. Like, I was taught
And
that
she allegedly dealt with Floyd.
okay, so in that regard, regardless, you've been to plenty fight parties. There were refreshments at the fight party that I indulge in at the party, and they never come home. You don't come home in a gift bag. So for any athlete that is a supreme status, and one who has won championship belts, if I'm correct, right? And yet that belt and all other belts were at your ankles when we succumb to the work of a Tylee Swift. Don't even know who you are or where you found him, but I'm pretty sure it was in one of those social circles that we talk about people getting into, and your lack of discernment is costing as a agenda. It costs me in ways that lend themselves to open criticism and scrutinies. And while I can be confident and seeing that my situation is not yours for a myriad of reasons, financially and otherwise, we're going to get back into the crux of exactly why this is an area of conversation or topic to start with. And so what we will do right now is go ahead and get back to the video. Let's see if we can gain more information as to why oftentimes it is believed that we should not accept the role of fatherhood, and especially when we speak of a man of means in the pro sports world of any
Now, boss, do you
field.
believe he actually put her and her son in his will?
Do I believe it? I could very well easily believe things like that because what is the term we hear oftentimes? A poon hound. If I'm so cat hungry for a particular type, and I have the means to, because when you got money, or I won't even like it at the money. People think you can reverse things and change your mind so easily because we hear rhetorics are easily broken, and so I do believe that ignorance could put him in that situation where you believe that it's something that if it don't work out, you can go ahead and just change this and the third, but that you have enough foundational evidence to put you into those types of things to start with, regardless of whether it's a will or anything else. It's a legal Pandora's box that can be open if she indeed wants to try to come up with a frivolous or a foundable lawsuit that regards this situation, if in fact this is the contention point right here. And so it may hold no merit, and I don't know that it does. What it does suggest is that you started to, much like putting a kid, changing their last name to be yours, and you are liable in certain regards. You are opening yourself up to the legal stipulations because these are where precedent are set and arguments are made that if you went to the level or rose to the level of putting a young sir into your will and testament, that you indeed claim paternal right to such a child, and even if you're not together, they may hold you fiscally responsible for that kid, even if not in the will. And so, don't go ahead.
But would he have? I believe they live in L.A. or Atlanta. I'm not sure where they live, but wouldn't he have to have adopted her son?
Okay,
to do so, to add the son into the will.
I don't know that to be true at all because I can leave the dear old lady next door to my will if I want to. It's my will and testament. I'm leaving. I'm bequeathing my fortunes and things to whom I deem relevant. Don't have to be blood for that. So that's it. That's in any contract through that one. And at the same time, I offer that legal precedent is always set and law is always set not off of what has happened necessarily, but what will happen, but what has already happened. And so if we understand that the box can be open where they have people like Brittany Griner on child support, and this is a full-fledged woman, but because you signed your name to a piece of paper and wanted to assume a responsibility, the law will find any way to have a taxable situation to be attached to you. And so it's a commission. It's commission based. I know all you cats got bread because you didn't let me into your business with a marriage certificate, or if you did, you have still let me into your marital assets, your marital life, your story, and anything that's attached to it. And we know that lawyers all the time go after athletes for very frivolous things that don't happen. So if in fact this is true, whether he removed them from the will or not, it actually did happen in that instance. And in that case, you have subjected yourself to legal interpretation. The law is all interpretive. And so when we get into that, and this is the crazy thing you talk about, the law is practice and subjective. Religion and things in those regards, they have definitive outlines, but people oftentimes go straight through those and try to interpret them in the way in which they see fit. This will not change in this instance. And when you went to escalate the situation, for example, by putting him in any particular paperwork, it is almost the same ridiculous assertion that the law can have that they had when they made Brittany Griner, a woman, pay a child support for being a father. That is preposterous in itself, but the law allowed that. How? Precedent, what they call that their subjective interpretation to how law is set and to the go right ahead.
Yeah, I believe they live in Arizona or Texas, and I believe they practice common law in those respective states. So I believe they're presumed as married, right?
Yes, by common law, according to how long they were together in your estimate, yes, her legal team is going to seek whatever state they have had any property, any dealings where the baby was born. If they don't live there now, whatever state fosters what she wants to happen is where the legal representative that she has is going to try to look to have that heard. If you've been trouncing about for 10 years with somebody, y'all didn't probably been in many city because he been trying to get his career. His career haven't been cracking for 10 years that I know of. Maybe it has, but not in the magnitude of the money that he got now. So, and I'm being loose with that. I know it's 2026 now, so he really probably have been around 10 years. But your prize fights and the money that you amassed may not have been in one state as your popularity and rise goes in the boxing game. You may have fought out of a small hometown gym to start, and now that you are up, we practicing in LA with this gym type stuff. And so now you got your girl with you out there every day, and there's receipts that go along with that. And now I can prove that we fostered most of our life under the guise of, you know, Nevada laws or whatever the state is. But I don't know those things to be definitive, but they open themselves up to the possibilities when we make these types of foolish endeavors. Now, just so that we can attach it even in the assumption, because this is alleged to my knowledge, we're going to continue with the video real fast just so that we can get more intel about it to hear exactly what it is that is putting him in this, what some would call, if it's true, the step crash dummy category. Let's go ahead and check it out. And Josh Johnson, how dare you mess with this?
Again, we don't know what's going on. I'm not going to sit here and just take her side on these allegations, okay? With no proof. If y'all seen proof of the abuse, y'all can let me know, but I haven't. Everything is alleged. But she moved on relatively quickly after Deontay Wilder. I also believe that he believed that she was cheating on him. Now, you're not going to see that. Now, I'm not here to defend Deontay Wilder's behavior. I think that Deontay Wilder, I think he was deeply depressed, and that caused a lot of friction in the relationship.
TBI
Again,
depressed.
I'm not here to make any justifications for abuse, but like I said, I haven't seen any proof of it still. If y'all seen it, y'all can let me know. But I just think she wanted out.
Police reports.
And women will
so
say
forth.
anything to get out of a relationship. He put her out of his home. He put her and her son out of his home. The Atlanta home.
The Atlanta home.
So there's a lot that was going on, but people are going, of course, they're going to believe the woman, because why not? Let's get into this.
I took your son, daddy, but father. Right. I went in so hard, bro. I went in a meeting with my kids. I said, how y'all over? I over a little sliding.
Yeah, boss, I think he capping on that part, bro.
Down with, you know what I mean?
Put her
Just like he put a girlfriend and her son in his will.
Yeah, I mean, if you funding this girl life, and I'm assuming this is before they got married, because if you watch the show Wags,
okay, he got a ring on. He got a ring on.
Yeah, right. So, but you know what? But see, this is the long con, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll do, because a lot of those women on Wags, a lot of those dudes, what they do, they have them women women in 7-year, 8-year, 9-year engagements, and they will be wearing rings,
Yeah,
and they don't even be married.
Yeah.
You, bro, you really gotta watch the show
We
to see the
we
hoodoo,
just
bro.
partners and all type of ish. Yeah, they're him.
Spiritual marriage is
Yep.
a spiritual marriage.
And you give him a big blinding ring, and that's all that mattered. And she hypnotized by the ring and the broom y'all jumped over. Cause we gonna go back to slavery days when it was authentic and genuine before the law got into it. But meanwhile, he could be pump faking.
Paperwork.
He could be pump faking totally, or not.
We don't want the state involved.
Yeah,
We don't want the government involved.
But you already know.
Yes, hoodoo.
You already know though, when it goes sideways, they're gonna attempt to find a way to let Johnny Law into what's going on, cause she feel jaded now. Now she want her piece of the pie, or she could have always wanted her piece of the pie. We just waiting for that thing to bake properly before I ask for a slice. Like, not yet. Oh, now he got belts and diamond crusted outfits to come into the ring with. Now you treat me wrong. Now you beat me. Cause at the end, like, you left him, you didn't have no backup plan. Your son had a father and a will bequeathing, and yet, like, yeah, he didn't. He probably emotionally abused her or financially abused her or something like that. Because there, according to these cats right here, is no, what do you call it? Police reports. But
right,
if, and we can give our closing thoughts here, if you are with a woman, G Honda, and despite the blemish, because she will have had a child in this instance, she gives, let's say, of the 10 things on G Honda's list, she gives us 9 of them. The blemish is the child, because the 10th was childless, and she don't give you that. But she give you 9 out of 10 things. And everything is working. How quick do you end the relationship when her son says you ain't his daddy?
Well, not only that, the child's father still being active and involved. That's a no-go.
Yeah, well, see, yeah, that part, in these instances right here, I'm never assuming that the father is still involved. The father may be still involved in you, baby mama, but not, he ain't messing with a little nug. Like, that's what, whoever baby daddy is typically, unless it's another athlete, don't qualify anymore, because you came up. So they only rise to the level of meat. You can't keep them. But you are a world-class athlete, and yet our integrity and our moral fiber is somewhat compromised in the fact that not only did you allegedly choose the wrong woman, and I say allegedly because I don't know about the abuse assertions and what have you, but the drama of it, whether it be true or not, is still attached. And we have someone who, as people say, didn't express the importance of humility to the child for having any context of any way to say anything disparaging to an adult, let alone somebody who assumed responsibility in their life. So as a mother, I question her, and I question her motherhood in a myriad of ways. But it again beckons the question that we even asked for DK: where does the line of decision making have to come into effect that ultimately cost us? Now, I don't know exactly what this will, if anything, cost Deontay. It may be clickbait for you to, get publicities or whatever, but it may also open a can of worms for somebody who feels humiliated or all those other legal terms of degradation that would allow them to have a a way to have legal dealings with you moving forward. Was your ex-wife, so I do know that you already have some monetary things going on. I don't know if you guys had kids. Do you know if they had kids together?
Yeah, they had one child together.
Okay.
Him and Telly, they had one child together. I believe he had 3 kids prior to this marriage. But I mean, I could see him using this and weaponizing this. I put her and her son in my will. I mean, to make himself look good. But if you already funding her lifestyle, vacation, homes, travel, luxury. I mean, the finest of finest, and paying for a child that ain't yours. Like, why would you see the need to put both of them in your will?
Because
and
some people really play that game. Like, hood games. If this guy does not have any sort of aptitude to see things outside of the concrete jungle, this whole little rules that we talk about with a wedding, his ultimate gesture to not have Johnny Law, like I said, in our business, like you said, they might have just had rings and a fake ceremony. The only thing real he can give her was to put their name in there to let you know it's real. Wink, wink. Because, like I said, it's reversible. I can get you out of there, which he did, take him out, allegedly. That's what it say. You took him out the wheel. So, what that says is those things were reversible in a way that don't cost you money. I can give it a charade of everything else that's going on in our life because, like you said, I'm footing the bill for everything, so I ain't got to marry you. And when you act up, I can put you out of my Atlanta home with your kid who told me I ain't his daddy, and it don't cost me nothing. Because right now, I don't see anything in him talking about losing money. I ain't heard nothing about no divorce settlements, and usually with athletes, they want to talk about how much of the bag she took from you. So that leads me to go down your path of facade for a wedding or for a marriage. And the WAG's TV show is like, let's do this so we can get some more bag and all other types of stuff. What you got, G? Unmute yourself. Let's see, I think you muted yourself. Yeah. Nope, I heard a little tap for a minute.
You hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Can a husband actually put a wife outside the house?
I wouldn't think so. I would think she would have somewhat legal right, especially with children and my child, because you said they got a kid together. I would think that would entitle you to the house over the spouse. Unfortunately, I think the men lose in that one, so I think you would have to go. I don't think you get to put her out unless it's a sham mockery of a wedding, like we said. And not only are you practicing bad habits in terms of your vetting process of a woman to be with, but we are still continuing to exercise hood behaviors that won't suit you well if in fact you run into somebody that has a bit more cunning or wherewithal of a situation to be able to get you better than she got you. Because she got you for at least 18 years. So we got to be able to understand that while your fight breakdown may be A1, your tape watching of women has to greatly improve if we finding young sirs, because I can't believe he was too old at that age to not have been telling you things like that unless daddy was still coming around stuffing that mailbox per se, because ain't no way you talking that disrespectful to somebody. Like I said, this dude is about 6'8", 200 plus pounds, heavy in a heavyweight boxing class. To have you even feel compelled to say something like that to somebody his size, to me, says that Daddy was still in the picture and was giving you all the air in your chest to say what was needed. And some of that may came from a forehead kiss to Mama on the way out of this Atlanta apartment, which is why you got put out. If you got anything else to add, G, we can go ahead and add it, because we want the chat to drop it in the comments. Do we think that it is at a disadvantage for a person like a Deontay or anybody in the present day to be a stepfather? And do we think that if indeed this is what we call a sham marriage, do we think that Mr. Wilder should indeed suffer from some real legal ramifications from the marital world, if in fact we want to put on the rules up to putting people in our will and testament that we's married now and we really not married? We talk about things in the sense of should women be punished for false accusation? This, for me, with marriage, could I look into this in a fraud situation? Because everything is looked at from a legal standpoint. So when we talk about bad decisions and the things that athletes need to have a better grasp on, only because I do believe that we have too many yes men around, people with money, so nobody's able to help you see reason. But I do believe that the maturity level of the athlete and the black male on some scale in America needs to be sharper and more stoically efficient in terms of us being able to regulate emotion, having positive role models, if in fact you were lucky like myself to have a stepfather of the past. We hope that if in fact anybody is in the situation, and not the exact, but the role that Deontay attempted to assume, I am hopeful that the situation is vetted out properly, just like you would with anybody without child. Do the things that are necessary for you to totally wrap your mind around being a benefactor of someone whom you've had no real hand in creating. Let's just be frank about it. Find out what level of investment those persons may have into yourself, so that you can know the proper level of investment to have in them. I told you today, I can give you very indelible impressions and memories of my stepfather. I can't tell you that an interaction like the one that Deontay had would give anybody a reassurance that those types of situations or fond memories can be had in the future or in the current state of dating, mating, and things of that sort. Other than that, keep your head on a swivel, just like we do on the football field. Be vigilant of every situation on the sidelines and off, and be able to understand that as quickly as you can ascertain success, wisdoms, and life lessons, a bad choice can make all of those things seem like they never existed and can put us in situations of regret, much like not expressing true feelings to people ahead of time before they are no longer with you. You want to be able to express to yourself in the mirror the shortcomings that you have and the things that need to give you the qualities that somebody wants to reveal you when you do leave this earth. With that being said, G, do you got any other impressions about the guys we talked about today or the situations on the whole? Unmute yourself for me. One moment, please. We're almost there, everyone. No, I don't get it. I don't get it, G. We was there. We was at the finish line. Yeah, I think when he pop out and pop back in, he gonna give us some sage wisdom. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Let's go ahead. You got the floor, G Honda. It's all yours, bro.
Yeah, man. So no, I think it nailed. You hit it at every cylinder. Especially with Deontay Wilder, man. I thought that was a big success of putting her and her son in the wheel. I mean, especially like you said, that he was funding her lifestyle, and then just that. I mean, like I said, if you go back and watch the show Wags, and you see how their dynamic was, and I mean, if anybody's seen a physical wedding of them having, I mean, I know I haven't, but just a pop up to show that they're married or whatever the case may be, whatever dynamic that they have going on. But for him to put her in the wheel, and for that to have happened, for her son to say, "Oh, you're not my dad." I mean, that's a commonality among stepdads. I'm pretty sure, but to make himself look good, to make himself look honorable, I could see him doing that, making himself looking more honorable for the next woman. That could be the case, but yeah, it is a bit much, and I know he's to a degree he's suffering because he's a very I wouldn't say emotional type person, but I believe he's genuine, but I believe he's using that will part for clout to a degree.
Okay.
But yeah, man, because that was a wonky dynamic that them two had, him and Telly Swift. I thought it was a wonky dynamic.
And so just to even recap on that one, guys, watch out for wonky dynamics like that, because I'm telling you, the law is based on interpretation, and somebody will try to interpret your intentions as mischievous, disingenuous, and all the other negative words when they try to come after your earnings and your hard-earned monies because of things that you have falsely promised. False promises sometimes become real. I promise you this. To end it on the most positive note I can, my Bears going to be in the playoffs and making noise. I can promise you that's real life out there. Tune in Sunday night. On Sunday Night Football, we get to share the national stage with no one as we attempt to put belt to ass at Levi Stadium to one San Francisco 49ers. We will talk sports later on today in our episode of Junk Mail. If you have any other salacious types of entertainment that we might want to touch base on in the athlete world that has a bit of drama around it, go ahead and feel free to submit it to either myself at mailboxsports3@yahoo.com, or in this instance, G Honda, go ahead and drop the email address so that they can go ahead and get it on your way just as well, so you can cover whatever interest they may have in the sporting world.
All right, I'm going to drop it in the chat.
And with that being said, everybody, until next time, until next delivery, enjoy the rest of your holiday, enjoy your family members, and we will premiere very, very soon. Appreciate you popping up with me, G Honda.
Luke.
We're going to get out of this place the right way. Let's go.